This is the Hustler's Corner.
Hey, welcome to the Hustler's Corner world. This is virtual Mkhukhu. It's Buddha, no Penuel. The first thing we do on the show, as usual, we go straight to that like button, the sharp sign. Let's click that on the count of 1, 2, 3. Let's go. Click, 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 click. Thank you. Don't forget to click the subscription button. Click so you become a member of the family. So we keep growing. The movement is growing, and I'm quite excited because today we've got a guest I've been hunting for quite some time. Like, when am I gonna get a sit down with this gentleman? So yeah, it's finally happened. How you doing, Mr. Penuel?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay.
Easy, Holmes.
Nice one. How was your week? It's a good Friday today, my man.
Yeah. It's been a great week. I'm quite excited. I'm quite energized. I'm quite inspired by the guest we have today. I met him last year for the first time. Funny enough, when I was doing an interview with Mlotshwa, we were on the same panel, and that's where we were busy chowing each other, speaking about land and race. Yeah. But I'm a huge fan of our guest today, and I'm excited to hear what he has to say.
It's family time. We've had Mkhukhu Nsingeza on the show, and Mkhukhu Nsingeza has had his own dissatisfactions about us black people celebrating Easter holidays, for instance. But it doesn't matter how you celebrate it. No matter your religion or whatever you believe in, I believe this is family time. Have a great time with your family. Those who've driven down to be with their families, who are watching this right now with your families, would like to say to you, Good Friday. The gentleman that I'm sitting with here is a South African media expert. He's a broadcaster and entrepreneur. He's the CEO of Sgwili Media Group. He has also held numerous top positions in other sectors. For instance, he was the Utembezi Tourism Group's non-executive chairman, Altron Corporations Director of Corporate Affairs, and Indalo Youth Trust's chairman as well. He stopped hosting Newsroom Africa's TV's Your View, and he's moved on to another power-packed television show on eNCA, which is, it's not Truth to Power, but it's Power to Truth. And he's going to explain to us actually about that name and how it came about. He's also a lecturer at Wits. He lectures honors students in media and politics. He also has got a brand new course that is launching this month in May, and the course is for government communication. If you'd like to enroll for that course, follow him on his social media platforms, and he'll also give us information on how you can get that course as well. Apart from being a lecturer and an entrepreneur, he's also editor at the Leadership Magazine and at the BBQ Mag. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mr. JJ Tabane. How are you doing, sir? Good to see you.
What a profile.
What a profile, bro.
Yo.
He was just saying to us off air, sometimes when you work, when you get introduced on stage on platforms like these, and this is nothing compared to what he's done actually.
Sure.
This is just a little bit of the work that he's done over the past few years. But he's been saying, when you hear it from somebody else, it's like, wow, I've done all that. Yes, you have, sir. That's why you're sitting here.
Thank you for inviting me. I don't know why I agreed, but that's okay, because when I invite people to my show, I usually don't say what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about everything.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I love what he's just done now. He says, I don't know why I agreed, but before we spoke, he said to me, there's 2 dates that you have to choose this week. You have to be on my show. I'm like, oh, so he agreed.
I'm following instructions for a producer.
Sure.
No, it's okay, as long as I come with Penuel.
No, thank you
So
very
you can
much.
come both.
We used to be part of a very controversial WhatsApp group together. So I've been quite inspired by the truth to power, power to truth conversations that he has every week. He screams at people, he shouts at people, he's become a meme and a gif. But I think he's inspired so many people. And I think maybe the best place to start is, why did you not name it Truth to Power and you decided to go with the other way around?
I thought, or rather I wish it was a very complicated thing. Actually, we brainstormed with the people at eNCA what we were going to call the show and so on. So there was always an issue about power to truth, and I didn't understand what that meant really. So I said, no, let's go for Truth to Power, right? So on the day we announced that I'm coming to eNCA and we're going to have this Truth to Power, somebody just sent a message, say, no, but there's a show already on channel 324, DSTV, what that's called. And then they started scrambling now to say, what are you going to do? Because now you are starting in 2 days. I said, no, it's a controversial, so unconventional. So let's just call it Truth to Power, but in reverse. It's a power to truth.
Solve the problem.
Yeah, and other people say others call it power of the truth. And whatever it is, there's power in the truth. And we use that platform to speak truth to power. So frankly, it was just to be controversial and make it unconventional. I hope it has lived up to that somehow, right? But the issue there is that we want to be able to speak unscripted, number one. Very important, because with television, they assume you're always reading something in front of you. Unfortunately, because of my poor eyesight, I can't read auto cue. So that helped me not to be scripted. So I get there, it's all in my head. I have to rehearse all day as I go around my other business.
You're not scripted?
None, all together.
Wow.
Right? And a lot of people, and in fact today, one of my colleagues who's just gotten a show on the channel was saying to me, how hostile the Twitter people are, and they just, I said, those Twitter people said I want to last 3 days at eNCA. Just ignore them sometimes, I'm approaching second year, basically this is my second season there.
Sure.
And there's something that people have to know, because usually the opposite is assumed. The eNCA people have told me not once who to have on my shoe.
That's beautiful.
Not once reprimanded me of what I said. And I've said lots of strange things. I mean, when I get home, my wife says, when are they suspending you now? When I was suspended previously, she said, oh, that took too long. They only suspended this. And I was home, not at work, and she arrived and I said, hey, honey, I've been suspended. I said, oh, that took too long.
Jeez.
The things you say there, man, So my wife is one of my best critics, best supporters. Because I know when I get home and I've said something crazy, she'll be the first one to tell me. She's not a fan who's just going to say, oh, it was nice. She says, why would you say something like that? Then I have to account.
Yeah.
Or why not talking about XYZ? You are biased. And so I always get the boxing at home. By the time I get on air, I know that I can take on the world.
So you're not captured?
No, not at all. I mean, I would like somebody who says I'm captured to come forward and tell me how, because I wouldn't be so broke if I was captured, man.
Island capture mpila, man.
You understand? Capture, yeah, keep on something, man. So what's interesting, and I've always had this. It's good you asked that first about the show. We'll go backwards from there.
Yes.
The issue here is that I'm not a journalist, and people sometimes struggle with this. I'm not a journalist at all. I'm an accidental broadcaster, because I had a big mouth and a strong pen. A pen that when they say it's mightier than this. So I used to write a lot, and then, somebody like Given Mkhukhu just said, "Oh man, can't you just take this and put it on radio?" And that's how it happened.
Oh wow!
He took a risk. When everybody said, "No, but this guy's a writer, man. How can you bring me on radio?" And of course, in the first 2 or 3 days, people said, "But who's this chap now? Who sounds like an LSM3 voice on air?" I just left them. I knew they don't know what I'm gonna do with that thing, because unfortunately, when I say accidental, I'm deliberately saying that. However, it's more of a calling than it was a career. So I'm not there looking for a job. That's why I could say something that will terminate my job tomorrow. So when people ask me, so what, aren't you afraid? I said, no, I'm not afraid. I just consider every show my last one.
And
Nice.
with that being said,
Yeah.
the move from Newsroom Africa to eNCA,
Yeah.
I think you haven't addressed it properly publicly. I don't know if you have, but I've missed.
No, but people change jobs all the time. I'm not sure why I must explain in detail. But anyway, I'll explain because you're asking. So Newsroom Africa, beautiful. It's my home. It remains my home up to now. They gave me opportunity to put radio on television, essentially. And again, there, it must be said publicly. Never try to tell me what to do. The owners themselves waited like you and I at 8 o'clock to find out what I'm going to do. Because sometimes I also didn't know until 7:45. From something annoys me in the news bulletin, that could just be the rent for the day. So they always waited, oh God, what is he going to do today? But if I don't do that, they then say, what happened to the rent?
Yeah.
So they let me do what I want. And that journey ended. I did 1 season. And then I took leave because I was afraid of COVID. But we can talk about it another time. Then when I wanted to come back, I realized that I'm turning 50 this year and I really can't work 5 days a week.
Wow.
They wanted me to do 5 days a week, 3 hours a day. I don't know whether there's a 3-hour television talk show in this country, but I tried. But I was exhausted, and by the time I was going towards the end of the season, I was not wanting to go to work. My wife chased me and said, but you only work 3 hours, just go to work. Stop your nonsense, So eNCA had been knocking on my door 3 months into my being at Newsroom Africa to say, I don't know if I can repeat this, but you know, the guy who was in charge, they said to me, no man, come and work for a real TV station, please. I said, oh, this one is real also. Please leave me alone.
Jeez.
But you must always know when not to close the door altogether. So I said to him, talk to me in a year. Then I carried on in Newsroom Africa. Top show, no problems with the viewership. Nobody can, the numbers don't lie, you know. So I wanted to work 1 day a week, right? But be paid the same way, so I was having 5 days. So eNCA said, oh, kids, that's okay. I said, oh, that's fine, you know. So that was the switch. I could be at Newsroom Africa tomorrow. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with the platform. I like the people there and so on. But sometimes you got to grow into some. So what has happened now at eNCA, we are now the top show at 8 o'clock across the news atmosphere, as it's called. Right? On average, between 40 and 60% market share of news, you know, because it's authentic, it's not scripted, and I'm not trying to be someone else that I'm not, and I only have to work 3 hours a week.
That's incredible.
Then I've got time to do all the other things I want to do. If I work 3 hours for 5 days, then what time will I do other things? You know, that's really the only reason I left Newsroom Africa. There's no ideological difference or anything like that. Not at all. They were nice to me, those people. I left well. That's why I'm saying I could potentially go back there anytime, but probably maybe as part owner if they sell their shares, not as an employee.
So the lesson in this is uskanyela CD, basically don't burn your bridges. Sure.
No, but it's actually what you say that, and I hope that Thokozani, who's one of the co-owners, doesn't mind me saying this. He gives me feedback on my show now, which is at eNCA. He says, no, you know, you did this well. This was not so great, but well done. Keep it up. We like what you're doing. Yeah. And that's how we should be supporting each other. Not petty competition that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. The reality is actually there isn't much diversity in South African landscape. Olim Gambi was at eNCA, is at Newsroom. Tomorrow he could be at SABC. You know?
Thomas Mlambo now has left SABC, is back at Super Sport, for instance. You know?
Yeah, the eNCA on 6 o'clock was at Newsroom, just joined there, Bongwe Zwane. Lovely lady, great broadcaster. Who was at Newsroom for the whole time that I was there, and even stayed another year, but she's now moved on. You don't hate her because she has now moved to another broadcast. The issue is, what are we trying to achieve with the media landscape? We're trying to change the mind. That's really what we're trying to do. Are we doing that good or not yet? We still need to get to where we can challenge each other across the media landscape to change their mind. There shouldn't be a place where people can run to hide. In other words, the politician can say, let me go to Vuyo, I'll get a better chance. He won't interrogate me too much. Or let me go to Thabo Mduli. No, they must know wherever they go, they're going to have to answer to the people of this country. And once we do that, then these politicians will account. They won't run somewhere to say, oh, maybe let me go to Mojal. What is it called? Mojal. Even Mojal, they must ask you difficult questions about what you are busy doing in your personal life and so on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I, of course, with power to do, I always say, if people want a PR, they must go to Mlotshwa. We are here, we were serious. They must come and answer. And that's not wrong with Mlotshwa, but I'm just saying, it's a magazine program, it's relaxed. That's not how power truth is. From time to time, we bring people to celebrate them, not interrogate them. Like, you know, I had Mandisi Janchi's exciting show. So I love his music, I love his message. And he was not there to account, he was there to inspire. Yeah. And that balance is also necessary. We must also celebrate people who are doing well and not just be shouting against those who are doing badly. And that's important. Sometimes we miss that point, and it's important that there's a balance. But that balance mustn't mean you mustn't come there and talk nonsense. You must come there and answer truthfully, because that's what we're in a business of truth telling, regardless of the consequence.
The black pen.
As a person on the outside, a lot of us have always thought that the media is scripted and whatever. And you know, when JJ started his show, a lot of us were nervous. And we did start thinking that, you know, maybe this guy works with politicians and he tells them up front, look, this is what I'm going to ask, just be, you know. Because you ask, how do people come on his show? How do people agree? And he really does speak truth to power, because He asks them the most difficult questions, and you can see them sweating live on TV. And to what he's saying, I think big ups to Given for giving him a platform. Big up to the guys at Newsroom and even at the guys at eNCA. We've got the internet now. We've got to Virtual Mkhukhu and Hustler's Corner, and we're trying to create an alternative voice out there. We're trying to speak truth to power. We're trying to shift minds, as you're saying. And if these platforms are not giving people like yourself, people like us, a voice to speak, they're going to shut down spaces. And sadly, a lot of the politicians which we want to account are going to keep running to certain shows to hide. Again, that's why I said I'm quite excited and inspired that he's here, because he inspires some of us, even if it's on alternative platforms, to speak truth to power and to not be scared. Because even on a big platform, he still asks the tough questions.
With that being said as well, I'm sorry, or maybe it'll be a follow-up question. It's fine.
No, it was that. I had questions for Ntate.
Sure.
How you got into politics. And I know these are some of the questions we normally asked. Are you not scared for your life? And are you not scared that you will lose money in interrogating certain people? Because they have friends as well who tell you, the way you put my man under pressure. Sorry.
No, I'm telling you, it's interesting you ask me about money and so on, because a lot of people who experience me only now as a broadcaster, and that's a narrow frame. Because I'm actually, as I was saying, this broadcasting thing it's just a culmination of 30 years of being involved in observing politics, but also being involved in them. So my first political act really was in primary school, high school. So I started a newspaper at high school. There was no newspaper in my high school. I started a magazine, right? I edit a magazine now, but it's a combination of, at 14 years, starting a magazine that was meant for social conscience. So we used to stand at assembly and say to students, please bring, we used to call it commodities that you are not using. Candle, tin stuff, something that is gonna go to waste. Bring it. We're gonna accumulate it here. Every Thursday we're gonna pile it here, and then we're going to go into the community and go to a what do you call it? We used to call it Stout School. I don't know what it's called.
It's Stout School.
I think it's still Stout School.
Stout School, So we've identified those kind of schools with marginalized kids and whatever, right? And we take those communities there, right? And then there used to be something called the Rotary Club. I don't know how I ended there, but I ended up, dining with these important people and then say to them, what are you doing for the communities that are buying in your shops, that are buying in your stores, right?
Boom. Thank you.
So those are my first political. It was not Sansco and what that came later. It was just basically to say, how can we make a difference? Because that's what politics should be about. How can we make a difference? I know that it's lost on some of my comrades now because they have blue lights and what. But essentially, we got into politics to change our situation.
Yes.
Right. So when I got to university, I joined more Christian student organizations. That's what my first, because I wanted something that could ground me. Because I came from a Christian family. My father an Anglican priest. My mother a school principal. You can see you can't escape there.
Jeez, and you're still a rebel.
Even if you want, you understand?
Hey, but he's still a rebel. Sure.
Yeah. No, because they grounded me in being true to myself. You understand? So the first thing I looked for when I got to university was Anglican Student Society, young Christian students. And that's how I got into the SRC with a partnership with Sansco. So I didn't even, in my first year at university, I didn't even join Sansco.
Which varsity was this?
At the University of the North.
Oh, okay.
What was interesting, which people may not know, is that at high school, in my high school, I went to a Catholic school, there was no SRC. You'll be chucked out if you even mention the way. They were prefects. So I was a deputy prefect.
Come on.
So when I got to university, I didn't understand the concept of SRC immediately. That's why one of my first committees that I joined was a disciplinary committee. And I was tracked off that court for 3 years.
Yeah.
I was tiny at that time frame. I used to go to knock at people and give them a summon. But when they look at me, they won't be threatened by me because I was just so a young boy. who came to a delivery boy. Can't you know I'm actually the clerk of the court. I've written the summon. I have prepared the case. You are in trouble. A couple of people were expelled from university.
Jeez!
Because that disciplinary committee, no, they didn't know me. I was first year. The SRC people were surprised that who's this first year? They even thought maybe I'm a spy. I mean, how can the first year student want to be on the SRC disciplinary committee? You know? So I was there, clerk of the court for 3 years, and then I eventually became a member of the SRC and became vice president of the SRC. That's how I exited TEFLOP. Then I went to UWC, where I became SRC president twice there. Now I joined SASCO there, became chairperson of SASCO.
Jeez.
So I was now, the politics started from a religious front into the politics. The Christian thing was quite serious. I ended up president of the Anglican Students Federation in Southern Africa, and then a convener of the International Anglican Youth Network based in New York and London at the same time, with people working for me while I was at UWC doing my law degree.
Wow.
Right. So now when I got to my first job interview, I was asked, but you have never worked. Why must you appoint you? Now this was a job was to be a spokesman of a minister. I just finished my degree. I've got a baby that's coming. I just got married while I was on campus, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
And then I realized, hey, how do we feed this mouth? I don't have a job. And then it just happened that I was recommended to stand in for a minister spokesperson. So in this first interview with the minister, they look at my CV, says, oh, okay, the CV is good. You see, you failed your whole first year, but you passed subsequently.
But while you were disciplining other kids, you
Why
were
are you disciplining other kids?
No, I failed completely. Because I wanted to be a medical doctor. And so I chose wrong.
Yeah.
Then when I switched to do basic things, I passed very well.
These basic things.
Yeah, you know, but fast forward to the PhD now, so that's okay.
Danko.
Yeah. Sometimes the failure makes you to run and achieve. Anyway, so they say, but you have never worked, Chief. I said, I don't know what you mean. I've got people working for me in New York and London.
Come on.
I don't know what is work.
Come on.
I was SRC president twice. It's a full-time job. No, really, it is. That's why in other institutions, even in that time, you had to take a year off to be SRC president.
I've heard of that.
At VETs and those kind of institutions that had money, they could pay you to actually stop your studies for a year. At black historical black institutions, there was no luxury like that. Therefore, you ended up failing because as I'm sitting in class like this, I'm thinking, oh my God, I've got a council meeting. The documents are this thick. One day I just stood up from class to go and prepare for my meeting. That's how, because now you think the students are gonna kill me.
Yeah.
If this thing goes wrong, you know. But what helped me was that by the time I got to UWC, it was the second time I was in an SRC. So there was no excitement about it. It was more a serious job. In fact, I remember that a couple of guys who were in my SRC, I had to expel them myself because they were playing. I said, no, guys, when you are serious, you will come back. Our SRC is the one that sued the university. I went to court to sue the university for something. I won't go into detail of what it was about. It may be too embarrassing now, but just because they refused us to have a freshers ball in the stadium. But they used to get people from outside, where colored people in the community that to have, you know, all sorts of strange events in the stadium. But students who lived on campus couldn't. We said, no, you can't do that. We went to court. We intimidated. We interdicted them from refusing us to use them. We said, no, because if we do this in an open field, these students are going to kill each other. You need a contained place where you can have security. And so now you may think it's trivial, but it's not. It actually showed that the SRC needed to be taken seriously as part of governance of an institution. Not just people you can just do as you like. But remember, now I'm coming there, I already have a degree. I'm doing my second degree. So it's not like they can intimidate me or whatever. You understand? So the director knew that if you wanted to do a controversial decision, you had to call me and say, JJ, what do you think of this? I said, yeah, no. By the way, your offices look like shambles. Can we have a meeting in my office?
This is UWC.
UWC.
Okay.
You know. So, in summary, that's you are asking the background. So I'm not just waking up and starting to shout. No, all these guys are ministers and they were peers at university. They understand me. Was in SASCO together. They used to make me chair the SASCO National Congress even when I was not the national member of the executive, because I took no nonsense even in those days. Right?
First job interview, did you get it?
No, I got it. It was 10 minutes, and he said, all right, can start on Monday, type of thing. Because I did articulate, because remember, now I'm a law graduate, right? So I've got 2 degrees, and I've studied the stuff that he was interested in. So he was a Minister of Constitutional Development. So when you're going to be a spokesman of somebody, you don't want somebody you're going to coach on everything. You want somebody who has a broad understanding of the subject matter. So that helped me. Although I knew nothing about communications, I only studied it in my PhD. The rest was in-service training. And that's why even in my businesses, when I started businesses in 2010 up to now, I always take on interns who are studying, and I make sure I give them opportunities for exposure, because that's how I got to where I am. I would not have a PhD in communication if somebody didn't believe in me. In 1998, when I knew nothing about communication. I remember I arrived, my first day at work, I went up to him and said, how are you, Chief? Fine. But nobody has orientated me.
Who spokesperson?
Vali Musa.
Oh, Vali Musa.
Mohammed Vali Musa. Yeah. He says, but you said you could do the job. Now, the guy who had left, who I was standing in for, had gone to abroad. He didn't leave a single piece of paper. I'm not joking.
Jeez.
On his desk. Not the report, not the handover, nothing. By the way, I went to a wrong office because I lived in Cape Town. So I went to Parliament to start my job. And only to find that Parliament was in recess. And in fact, they were all in Pretoria. So he said, no, you're in the wrong office. I said, oh my God. Then I had to fly, to Pretoria. When I get home, and I promised my wife heaven and earth then to say, no, it don't take away from spending time. First day, I was going to be away for 9 days in Pretoria. And I arrived back home to pack with a car waiting for me outside to say, by the way, I went to the wrong office. I need to go to be in Pretoria. Because they were going to launch something big. They called the white paper on local government. Now, some of that stuff now, I refer to now, when I do my show now and talk to mayors and so they think, where do I get? I don't know, I was there when you were drafting something that told you how you need to serve communities. In 1998. Yeah. They've forgotten all about some of them haven't even read that white paper on local government. They have not read it.
Your first business. What was your first business?
Okay, let me tell you what my first business. So in between this time that I was graduating and I was going to get a job, I had to find a way to pay my rent in Cape Town. So I decided, no man, the best thing I know now is I've been in SRC since developed in UWC. I've been vice president of SRC once, president of SRC twice, chairperson of SASCO, president of Anglican students. Why don't I put together a book, man, about how to be a student leader in the changing times? And then take this book and go and train these student leaders around the country and charge them, in those days, 2,000 rand for a weekend. Well, I mean, that paid the rent.
Sure. It was a good idea.
That was my first business. It was called SACORD, South African Center for Organizational Development. You can laugh, but actually it's a good business.
Great
and I like
but actually
hustling starts on campus.
Yeah, no, you started. So straight after campus, the first thing was to do this training for student organizations.
That is such a dope idea.
And SRCs, dope idea. Right? And it's still necessary even now. It's just that now, because when you go now, they say, no, you don't understand because when last year you were... But those days they couldn't say that. I just been a president a year before. And then what I did, my facilitators were fellow SRC presidents who were my peers around the country, or if some of you who served with me at both these SRCs. So I said to them, you guys, you are a good treasurer. I want you to now develop a manual on being a good SRC treasurer. You are a good PRO. That's what I want you to do. So I had a set of people. Obviously, we needed to keep it minimal so we can make enough.
Chow money.
Yeah, you know.
Don't have to share
and
too much.
some of them try to copy that now. You see, when you copy somebody's idea, you better have the passion they have. Do you know how long I ran that business? 10 years.
Jeez.
Wow.
10 solid years of doing that training. Myself and the guy who's now the competition commissioner, Tembing Kosi, Bonagain. In fact, I've just put him on my cover of my leadership now. Please go get it, leadershiponline.co.za. Right, brilliant guy. He was the president of SRC at Fort Hare. So we decided to write a book about SRC constitutions. That was my first book. It's online if you can find it. Right, but it's long ago. But that was part of what came out of that passion for my first business. When I became a spokesperson, my office was actually behind Parliament. Can I tell you a story about it? You know, sometimes black people we don't support each other. You know? So the guy who was working for me, because now once I went to be a spokesperson, obviously now I needed to have, create a distance between me and that business so that my business can carry on, but I can also do this full-time job. The office was below St. George's Cathedral, at the bottom of St. George's. There was a small office there.
Yeah.
You know, because it's my church. I said to them, can I just have an office here? But I'll put somebody here to work. But I work in Parliament, which is next door.
Yeah.
But I had declared to my new employer that, by the way, I have a business. It's not linked to communications. It's not linked to environmental affairs or constitutional development, which were the subject matters of that ministry. Right? So, but this person was working for me, didn't know. They thought this can't be right because this guy is earning a salary there, but he's also a shareholder here. No, I'm going to blackmail you. He was fired on this, pack your things, go. You know, I fired many people in my life. You? So that's why when I got fired, I didn't complain. I said, no, at least I also now get to know what it means to be fired. You need to fire people so that they can grow. If you don't fire them, they never grow. A couple of people I fired have come back to me to say, hey, thank you so much. I would never, the world would not have opened like this if you didn't let me go. Yeah. So sometimes when I'm a great believer in recruiting somebody, talk to them and say, I want this to be done. Do you think you can do it? Let's partner. When things go wrong, you call them. You don't fire them behind their back and send HR. Yes. No. That's cowardice. Yes. You know, and I don't want to substitute anybody, but it's cowardice. If you want to fire somebody, call them and say, Chief is no longer working. Bye-bye. Yes. That's decent. Because you may find that they also didn't know how to tell you they want to quit. And you can meet each other halfway, they go and do something else. And then in the future, you can meet again and do something else together. Yes.
Takes a decisive person to be able to fire somebody.
And someone with integrity.
No, but it must happen.
I think the integrity here is very strong. Listening to JJ, the religious background, and he seems to be someone that has been highly ethical. For the fact that he was hiring interns means he had a big heart and he understood the value of giving experience where there wasn't. But he also realized that you have to serve. And that's why it's easy to get rid of someone. And when you do it to their face.
You do to their face.
So that you have integrity. So that when they come back one day, they're like, at least you told me to my face what you had an issue with. And I can respect that.
And it has to be fair. You know, there's nothing as unfair. I mean, we are sitting with an unemployment rate of what now?
Now
45.
We're clocking more.
I mean, if you look at what we call the conservative, actually half of the country is unemployed.
Yes.
So it means that you can't just flippantly just fire someone. Anybody who's worked for me will tell you, right? We do evaluations regularly. Every quarter, we sit and say, what have you done this quarter? How can we support you? Right? And you actually go and write what you did. We say, under each KPA, tell me what you have done. And don't come with complicated things. You know, I used to work for SAA. And, parastatus, there's something called the balance scorecard. It's a complicated thing. I said to HR people, can you wait with your balance scorecard? Can this person just tell me what they did for the last 3 months? Then you can interpret it as a balance scorecard. But I want to know, under KPA 1, what did you do? And what do you score yourself out of 100? Then you say, I score myself 40. Okay, fine. This one you score yourself. Then we average. If you score under 50, you have failed. Okay? And then there's a section that says, what am I going to do to improve? Right? Next quarter, you say, we start there, say, what, did you improve, Chief? You say, no, I've improved. Oh, at least you've scored 60 now. If you fail for a second time, you are now on your way out. Right? We give you a third chance and you are out. So it's not an unfair thing where we just wake up and fire you. That's why I've won all my cases at the CCMA. A lot of people try, by the way. They try and tell you the CCMA. They say, oh, then you come arrive with a file, the whole file of the last 3 years. And then they must tell the commissioner, what are these things in here? You know, I have to tell you this anecdote. This guy, I leave SAA, and then after 6 months of leaving, he goes to the CCMA to take SAA to court. So SAA for me say, hey, your guy is taking us to a CCMA. I said, no, I'll be there. Don't worry. I arrived at the CCMA. They postponed because they didn't think I was going to be there. Because they had the full lie of what was going to happen. And there was a simple thing. The law says you must give somebody a warning. You must actually give them 3 warnings before you fire them. Right? But they don't tell you how you must give the warning. They just say you must give them a warning. So the guy said, no, this guy didn't give me even 1 warning. There were 10 emails that were saying, Chief, can you please work? Chief, can you please come to work? Even worse. The guy wasn't come to work. At SA, when you arrive, you swipe. It shows how many times you have been at work. The guy in 3 months time would have been to work 3 times or something like that. Because with managers, you can always claim you are in a meeting, you are in a golf, but you are not working. Right? So what's the lesson there? We got to be able to build each other. This thing where black companies, people come there and they think they can, it's just a sexual harassment fiasco or festival or strange things like that. No proper management, no proper development of people, no funding of studies of people must stop. Because this is how the economy is going down.
Yes.
We got to be able to be serious about being at work. If you hire people, you must empower them. You must make sure that you support them in the work that they are doing, and you create an environment that is decent. Because that's how you are planting a seed for them to do better next time. I always say to my guys, you're going to embarrass me if you go and work with somebody else and they ask you, who did you work for? And you can't even write a letter, a proper business letter. You can't write it. I have to correct it all the time, because when you work with someone, they'll ask, why did this person work? You know?
I think you were correct earlier on when you were saying working at varsity or being a part of the SRC was part of work.
It was work.
That was experience, because for me, I would look at anybody who starts their first business as a first business is usually for paying school fees.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of us who've started our first business and ran it for 10 years. Now, I think for you to be able to run it for 10 years, it had passion in it. It was linked to something that you were already doing on campus. Absolutely. And you already were polished around the leadership skills that you were getting as a student leader on campus. Now, I want to know, from the business that you ran for 10 years, your second business, and just your evolution in business.
No, it was trouble. Let me tell you the truth. So I now went to this full-time job, and I rose through the ranks of government to become head of communications for the World Summit of Sustainable Development. It was our first international gig. Then went to work for Chamber of Mines, went to work for SAA and so on, and then found myself having to now run a business, which was not my business. Somebody else hired me to be CEO of a business, right? So that was my experience of running a business, right? After gaining all this communication experience, I ran a business here in Auckland Park called Graphico, which was actually specializing in developing annual reports, which was quite interesting business, but quite a profitable business. And then when that didn't work out, I went to now go back to corporate to work. But what pushed me into my first real business, where it was my own business fully, was politics. Because now I went to politics and it didn't go well in politics. Right? In 2008, a few of us thought we could topple the ANC. So we formed Congress of the People.
Oh, you were part of COPE?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know.
I was a spokesperson of COPE. Where did you live?
Did you know?
I didn't.
I traumatized these people. You must
That's why he's so angry.
You must invite Mbalula. You must invite Mbalula. Will tell you that he had to populate the M1 there with posters of NC when I was talking like we're gonna take over tomorrow. And I said I woke up, and he says he woke up and said, I need a team that can just deal with this JJ. Just follow him. Tell me what he's planning. Right? Because we spoke with passion to say we're going to govern tomorrow and so. And I can tell you long stories about COPE. One of the big blessings was to meet a prophet, a fellow called Bishop Mvume Dandala. That guy is a prophet.
I remember. It's
Mlotshwa.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now Bishop joined a little later, like joined after we launched 2 or 3 months. I was head of communications for COPE, but then they decided I must stop that job and just basically be next to the Ndala. They say this guy, as he wakes up, he must see you. Before he goes to sleep, he must see you. Right? You're going to script him. You're going to walk with him. This is our president. This is going to be the president of the country. So that was my full-time job for, roughly 6 months. From the time that he joined to the elections, right? And there's no experience of all these things I've done that there's been more profound than just being next to this great man of God, basically. He was a bishop of the Methodist, and then when he finished that tenure, also internationally, he came to try and change our politics. And of course, we were jointly disappointed by how it all turned out. But one of the anecdotes was, so we'll travel in this presidential convoy with him, because we knew it for sure that people wanted to take him out. Because if you compared him with Zuma, you thought he would win, if we're all applying our minds. I said to him, we are now in the car, in his presidential car, and I said to him, Reverend, hey, who's going to be your cabinet? Because now we can see these people are just remnants from the ANC. Really, all they wanted was another vehicle, so that they wanted to change some of them. You know, who's going to be your cabinet? He says, no, take out the book. Let's write. I tell you, we couldn't go past the third name. Now, cabinet is about 30 people. We closed the book and said, hey, God help us. Right? He saw it before we could lose that this is not going to go far. And one of the things that made me call him prophet was that he sat in a meeting, a big meeting with business people and so on. And we had written his nice speech for him to convince these people to give us money to run this organization, this party, to go into the elections. And he stood there and said, if Cope lost elections, it would be a blessing in disguise.
Joe.
Because I wanted to hide under the table at that point. Why did he say that? Because he says we are not ready. We are not ready to govern. Right? And what happened? Fast forward, Cope wins 36 seats in parliament. What does Terra Lokota want to do? Insist on wanting to go to be the leader of Cope in parliament. But we said, no, but you said you don't want position. Yeah. Dandala is the leader of Cope in parliament. Yeah. Whether we are not in power, even when we are opposition, he's going to be there. Now, just picture this. Cope wins elections. He's not on the list. What do you think was going to happen? Terra had a hit list of people he wanted to eliminate in Cope. Yeah. He must go and deny it and go to court if he likes. But he had a hit list of people he wanted to eliminate so he can be in power. He's the one who pushed Dandala out to go into early retirement.
Mr. Shilowa?
Mr. Shilowa, his heart was in a good place, but he didn't have enough courage to argue his way into power against Terra, number one. Number two, to be a premier and surrounded by 30 advisors and 10 MECs is different from being a head of parliament and have no staff and have to actually work. That's all I say. No, it's not shady.
It's shady.
It's not the same thing. You understand? Because in the government, you can instruct people left, right, and center. In a caucus of 30 people, who are you going to instruct? These are all MPs. You are all equals. You're going to instruct your secretary. It's different. So while his heart was in the right place, unfortunately, he was not going to be able to do what he did here, create how train, or those things were done almost by automation. Whereas there at the caucus, you had to work. And that's the difference sometimes between being a politician and an official. And if you confuse the two, sometimes you may get it very wrong. But I got a lot of time from Bazima. I think he could have been a better president than Terra. Terra is the one who destroyed the Cope project. He continues to destroy it today. He's still hanging on. I mean, when was 2008? I mean, how can he be
still alive?
He's still alive.
When I'm saying Cope, is it still alive?
No, he's still, Terra also is alive. He had a stroke, but he's still alive.
No, that's not nice.
I'm talking about Cope.
Hi, JJ.
Oh, come on, Mr. Tabane, come on.
No.
There's two members in parliament. He's still alive. And there's some new, fresh people who I like. I mean, there's a guy who's a PhD from Tshwane.
And have you ever received any death threats?
Of course.
I was trying to ask this earlier.
No, I do receive them, but you understand
even
that.
Now?
Yeah, even now.
Not only when you're only in politics, even now.
No, now. Even now.
Especially now.
You know. But those people are cowards. Once you threaten us, it's cowardice. I don't have a bodyguard running around. So why don't you do what you want to do?
Jeez.
When I wrote my book in 2012, people asked me the same thing. My first part of my book says, I'm not concerned about longevity. So it means that you threaten me about something that doesn't really concern me. You understand? I'm not here to say I want to live until I'm 80. No. You know, I'm turning 50, and I think if I die now, I'll be fine. I've done what I needed to do. Right? This is quite apart from being married for the third time, but that's a different matter altogether.
Jeez, okay.
Okay, so I've done what I needed to do. I've contributed since 14 years old. Honestly, what else do I want to do? Everything else from here is a bonus.
But congratulations, though. I was just telling Penuel yesterday that I do believe in marriage. No, I do. He's laughing at me. This is what happens.
It's wrong that he's laughing and he's a married guy. He's a married guy laughing at you. Jeez.
Yeah, and I'm very happy. You know, I've been with my wife now for 12 years now.
Beautiful.
So I think she's managed to put me in my place, if I may put it that way. No, she doesn't joke with me. She doesn't take my nonsense. And all of us need somebody like that who can be, my dad always say, your wife is your conscience.
Yeah.
You know, when she doesn't like something, you yourself know there's something wrong. And you'll get around to it. But why am I raising that? My children are quite independent. You know, I've got the 11-year-old, the 16-year-old. My son is 24, runs already his own business, you know, in television and so on. He went to film school. He did a BCom honors with UCT. You understand? He can run his own life.
It's beautiful.
Right? And they don't try to be me. They are independent souls. Right? Now, I get irritated when people now send them messages and threaten, yeah, your dad, you're going to kill your dad. This is what people do that.
How they even do that to your kids?
To kids, not only to kids, to my dad who's 83.
Wow.
To say, yeah, you know, your son is going to follow your wife who's dead and things like that. And they think that for that I'll stop. I want you wasting your time.
And then do you have an idea as to who these people are?
Well, I mean, you know our police force. If you try to open a case against anybody, that's your answer.
Can I say something quickly? Johan Rupert as well spoken about how his kids have been attacked and told we're going to do something to your father, and it's one of the things that's made him want to leave this country and relocate.
No, that's pure evil. But I've always said, and I was saying this recently in one of my shows, that Jesus did not say it's going to be easy when you stand up for the truth. Right? So don't stand up for the truth thinking you're going to get roses all the time. It comes with consequences.
Yes.
You stand for the truth, you're going to have a set of people hating you. But it's interesting because those who hate you may eventually love you when they realize the truth. That's the exciting part about it. I'll give you a very interesting example, recent example. So there's a chap called Bongane Bongo. You must know him.
Yes.
So Bongane Bongo for years has been on the dock for apparently bribing a parliamentary official or a evidence leader in parliament. So I've always used him as an example of corruption. Because I say, yes, the Minister of Intelligence is corrupt, is this. For years, on radio and on TV. Now he's found not guilty. So, oh my God. And then he says, now I'm ready to come to your show now. Bongane Bongo, very nice guy. So he comes to my show. So before the show, I meet him at the reception and say, hello. So I think, hey, this is gonna go down. I'm gonna eat humble pie tonight. So he says to me, we hated you. He confesses, he tells me, we hated you so much until we realized that you criticize everyone.
Yes. You're fair and you're consistent.
And what a nice show we had. I mean, of course, it just happened to come on a day where eNCA was in the news for racism and also he attacked everything, But it was not, he didn't attack me for having attacked him for all those years. He came to realize that we need that kind of thing in our society. It's not too many people who are going to stand up and shout and call politicians by their real names. Incompetent and liars, thieves. It's not everybody, My friend, Lukwana Nguni, who coined the term Amasela, got people in government to tell Power FM to fire him. I know that we may not want us to say this, but it's true. He wasn't just disappear from the air. It's how do you balance commercial things with being truthful to your mission, right, of truth telling? If an eNCA can be removed off air because he's calling politicians what they are,
yes.
This Zondo has told us that these people are thieves. So why shouldn't we call them that? It's formal that they are thieves. It's in a report of Zondo.
They're stealing.
They're stealing. But in eNCA there, he didn't live by accident. It's commercial interests. And the power even come and deny that. I don't care.
Now let's come to the current political situation in the country. A lot of people have been hurtful. And obviously right now we've got our president, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa. What do you think of his presidency?
You know what? This, unfortunately, is the best we've got right now. I'm telling you, if you go to December and you tell me who else, you tell me. If you don't agree with me, tell me who is going to be president of the ANC this December if Ramaphosa is not given a second term.
Is the ANC all we have?
Unfortunately now, that's how did people vote last year? Last election. Same thing, same pattern. ANC, the AEFF, same pattern over 3 elections.
Is politics the only solution?
Right? No, politics is not.
What must young people like us do?
Politics is not the only solution, but politics is what is going to get you to be able to change the lives of these people. Policy and implement certain things, right, that will change the lives of the people. So we can't leave that space to thieves and say, oh, let's go and do something else, right? However, it's not the only way we're going to change lives, right? Half of the stuff that some NGOs do, yesterday I was talking about an NGO called Hope Africa. It's a social development arm of the Anglican Church.
They're doing incredible work.
Right? They are intervening in KZN now with the floods. Yesterday I gave them a shout out, and I actually even ran their account details on my show. Say, support these people. Gift of the givers. Somebody was even saying, somebody was saying, no, just give money to Gift of the Givers. They will reconstruct that KZN in 3 weeks. But government will take 10 years to reconstruct that place.
Those are facts. They've proven it.
Yesterday we were talking about it.
You understand?
Since the previous floods until now, nothing was done.
But it's not only Gift of the Givers. There are many. And yesterday I deliberately gave Hope Africa because they've been talking about Gift of the Givers for the last 3 days. I said, no, but there are other NGOs who are doing work. Right? So civil society has to stand up to do something. Then you and I must do something, right? So in my personal capacity, I have over the years taken people to school. So I said to somebody, you want to study? All right. I want you to study, but on one condition. I'll fund your studies if you fund someone else when you graduate and give them the same condition. Now that doesn't need the MAC of education. It just needs me to say, instead of my Johnny Walker Blue, this weekend I don't drink, so that helps. I don't know how much it is, but Johnny Walker Blue I think is very expensive. But that can pay for, that can pay once.
You've been hanging out with politicians.
I must say that. No. He said it. I'm quoting what he said.
No, they're my friends.
The fact that it knows what it's Johnny Walker Blue.
It's
very simple. No, if you go to Cubana, one table you can end up paying 60,000. I don't understand that.
School fees is
I would rather take that money and give my wife to go shopping. But now people, entertain people there in your table.
I'm they're entertaining their clients.
Yes.
No, not clients. Let's not lie. Their girlfriends, mistresses, mama kwapenis. No.
Power to truth.
So they entertain you. They pay 60,000 for one table at Cuban. That money can pay for 3 students at a TVET college or at a university.
I agree.
Okay. And I'm not saying that there's nothing else you can do with your money, but I'm just saying just that one Friday. With that, if you say this Friday I'm not going, it's Good Friday, so I won't go to Cuban. I'll go to church instead. And then that money, that 60,000, I give it to one student.
Yeah, because there's people who are going to blow 50K just as this weekend.
But
50K is even nothing.
No, but they do.
One table, one night.
But they do, and this is a minimal amount. Apparently, there are some champagnes that are costing that much.
Yeah.
From Pedro, some.
Yeah, he knows them.
Well, some of my friends drink, so they tell me. I said, no, I can never spend money like that. I'd rather go shopping, So anyway, I'm saying you must do something. I must do something. If we all do something, half of the stuff will be sorted, so that the politicians can sort the other half, right? And it's not a substitute. It's not to say, oh, we'll do something, let the politicians do what they like. No. They must still account. They must stop stealing our money. They must still stop stealing taxpayers' monies. But we also must say, where I am, how can I brighten the corner where I am? You understand? And until that happens, you can't tell me you are too poor to help the next person. I was talking at a church in Venda just a couple of weeks ago, where I talked about faith without works. That's what the scripture says. It says, faith without works is dead. Now, the church cannot be next door to somebody who's starving, and then they are singing, they're making noise. But the person who's starving next door is a child-headed household next door.
Fact.
Someone there who's been starving for years, but there's a church next door where they're collecting thousands from congregants who are poor, and they don't help that next person. I'm saying that's unacceptable. And literally, if you on your street, you need to be able to know what's happening in that street. In the townships and so on, in suburbs, I mean, we just live in hope, because you don't even know who your next door neighbor is. True. Right? And that's what's wrong, because apparently you're all affluent, so it doesn't matter. You don't think that person is starving. But there could be other things you can do. You hear that this person is beating up their wife to death. You are in your house, say, hey, I can't go there. What if they beat me up?
I don't even know them.
I don't even know who they are. You understand? I'm just giving that as a typical example that says, you can't say it's not my business. Gender-based violence is as it is now because of a conspiracy of silence amongst us.
Yes.
You understand? When your friend beats up the wife, you are the co-conspirator if you don't tell them to stop it. You are as guilty as that person who raised their hand to beat up a woman in front of children to further depress this country that's already in moral tatters.
Yeah.
So you're lecturing, you're running a business, and you've just finished your PhD, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And that's just recent.
Sure.
I think you graduated now during
2 years
the,
ago.
the lockdown,
During
right?
COVID, yeah.
Yeah,
And I feel sad because I have not gotten to wear that red thing and walk. But I'll buy the red garment and keep it in my wardrobe.
Sure.
Just in case one of you invites me to speak.
And
as
you're
a
still
doctor.
young. I mean, you're just 49, you're just about to turn 50.
Yeah.
What's next?
I don't know whether I can tell you what's next there.
You've done a lifetimes of work at
Yes.
such a young
Yeah.
age.
So there are a couple of things that are happening. First of all, the stable that owns Leadership and BBQ owns 10 other magazines, including something called Blue Chip magazine, something called Explore magazine, which deals with tourism, etc., etc. So we're in the process of buying that with a consortium of guys who are working there and who are outside. So I want to then be a media owner in that space. If that doesn't happen, I still have a very good relationship with them in terms of running both BBQ and Leadership magazine. I like that work because it's conscientious work. You're talking Black Business Quarterly, you're talking empowerment. How do we, dissect this empowerment and give a hand up to those who are trying, look at case studies of successful businesses, etc., etc. Then leadership, of course, we are in a leadership deficit in this country and in the continent. So if I can do just a small contribution of just understanding how leadership works and planting a seed there, I will do that for the rest of my life. So that's the first big thing there. We've just launched a platform called Frank Dialogue, which will be kicking off with dialogues on social cohesion and nation building. We'll be doing that in collaboration with the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, but we'll also do collaboration with other sectors. For example, I'm talking to the religious sector to say, I want people of faith to come around the table and tell me what are we going to do. We can't just be praying, on Sundays when Rome is burning, essentially. So we'll do dialogues around the country with faith leaders. We're also then going to do dialogues with young people. So there'll be a frank dialogue. It's going to be a big thing going forward in partnerships with different people, with government, with business, and so on. So that's another big thing that's happening. This is quite apart from the international television station that will be a reality soon. But of course, therefore we need deep pockets.
International TV station.
Yeah, that will compete with BBC and CNN.
Oh, that's incredible.
No, to tell the African story, because we have resigned the African story to other people. It's actually embarrassing. The CNN has a weekly program called A Week in Africa or something like that. BBC also has similar. How can you condense the story of 54 countries into 30 minutes and think we're telling the African story? But it's because the joke is on us.
Yes.
Because all of us here have a capacity to actually tell the African story. And we have got the pockets that we need. There are business people here, there are billionaires who are born here, and so on, who should be funding that kind of project. So those things are what's keeping me awake. I almost died last year with COVID.
Jeez.
Oh, you had COVID?
Yeah, so twice.
Sure.
So when I got out of hospital, I said, my God, I need to do these things before I go, man. I almost exited before 50. This is ridiculous.
Sure.
And it was interesting when I got out there, when you are really determined to do something, suddenly the universe opens up. Because I met partners who I never thought I would meet, who have contacts with Apple TV, Netflix, Google TV, who are throwing themselves at this thing to say, this thing must happen. So that's why it's going to happen, I've been very grateful. During COVID, while I was hiding from COVID, I was telling you, I got this job as editor of Leadership magazine. I've been talking to this guy since 2006, trying to see how can we buy this thing. Then they said, no, man, the editor's left. Can't you be the editor of this thing? After 18 months, they said, I think you are a permanent editor of this thing. They were so happy with the thing. From doing zero revenue because we couldn't print during COVID to making millions with partners that are just supportive of the work that we are doing, So it was COVID in a sense was a blessing jolted me into action to say, no, it's not over. Let's go for another 50 years if we can, you know. And there were a lot of journalists who lost jobs and what have you. I've got two editor jobs. I did this one, and then when I finished this one, they said, no, can't you do editor of this one, because it's only quarterly, man. So you can do it. It's not every month. I said, okay, that's fine. I mean, they really, complement one another. So it's not a big deal. And I've got a good team. I've got a good set of writers, and there are a lot of people who actually just contribute their thoughts for nothing, because they want to make sure that we can shape a new conversation in this country. So that's just in summary, without giving away too much, what is coming up. I'm writing a couple of books. One of them exciting this year, my most exciting book that will launch in a few months is a biography of Mandi Samfeka, who's the first black combat pilot in Africa. He's only one of two, by the way. She's only incredible. 31 years old.
Wow. That's incredible.
She's only one of two combat pilots in the continent.
I follow her on social media. She's incredible.
Right?
Yeah.
So we've just finished their biography. We are very, very excited. And we're gonna make it a big deal, indeed. I'm working on 3 other biographies. I can't say who those are, but I love this. I've already decided I'm not going to write my own biography because I may have to tell too many lies. So I've decided not to do that. A friend of mine says, no, I will write an unauthorized biography. I said, yeah, do that. You can publish it when I'm dead. So I've decided to say, let's accentuate the story of the African child.
Yes.
To say, here is a young lady from KZN, right, who stood at the fence at Virginia Airport and saw aircrafts taking off and landing and said, I want to do that. And now she's at the higher echelons of our Air Force.
That's this Mandi Samfeka.
You understand? And they didn't respond to her letter. You know that, when in colloquial talk, you always say the military is precise. Right? They say as military precision. Why do you think they say that? Because military is quite precise.
Yes.
So if I write them a letter, they must respond, isn't it? They didn't respond to a letter 4 times. Only on the 4th occasion did somebody then decide to say, yes, you can become a pilot. Right? And now why should I think it was not because they say, who's this black lady at 16 years who wants to be a pilot? I mean, she must be mad.
Yeah.
Even her school teacher, when she said, can you please bring somebody from the Air Force to come? They brought an army general who's knows nothing about the Air Force. Yes, no, man, not this one. I want some Air Force. So she had to force herself to get into this space. And then she gets there. This is a male-dominated thing. Even as we speak now, she has to deal with issues of, being second-guessed.
Marginalization.
As we speak. And this is part of what we'll say in this book. I'm co-writing with them, telling a story with her, of course. So we're almost like co-authors of this fantastic book that's coming out, and every year we'll bring out a story of an African child who has achieved great things. That's what I wanna spend time doing. So that's what's on my plate. It's quite a lot of stuff, but I'm enjoying it, because when you get your livelihood and your passion to meet,
yes,
it's magic. You don't wake up
Wow.
and go to work.
That is so beautiful. We hung out with Andile Mkhukhu the other day. He said he survived COVID and he feels this is the resurrection of Mr. Mkhukhu. You're telling us that you almost did not reach the age of 50.
I didn't. I was in hospital thrice last year. I won't tell you why else I was there, but COVID was a big part of it. And I was supposed to be dead, literally.
Jeez,
So it just shows you guys, whatever you want to do, you have to go do it now. He's woken up and just felt he's been given another chance at life. He's going to be writing books this year. He's lecturing. He's part of a non-profit organization. He's going to be doing frank dialogues. He's a broadcaster on television. He's just graduated with his PhD. He's happily married. He's a father. He's all these things before the age of 50. Congratulations, brother. That's inspiring.
Thank you, man.
Congratulations. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Thank you for
thank you
inviting
so much.
me.
I think from my side, I just want to say disciplinarian, but focused from a young age. And shout out to your parents for that. And in listening to him, I'm realizing that he's in effect become somewhat of a public protector for us, because he holds people to account. It may not be the official office, but in his own way. And then secondly, understands the story of narrative, telling our own story, making sure that the minds are shifted of the people out there, because once we do that, I think then we'll win as a nation.
And thank you, Mr. JJ Tabane. Your last words to our young entrepreneurs or young African thinkers out there?
Absolutely, you need to go get it, because you cannot sit around and hope that politicians are going to do it for you, other people are going to do it for you. You've got to be able to say, how can I brighten the corner where I am? Boom. Thank you so much.
So this is how we've spent our Good Friday. It even ended up becoming dark. Guys, hopefully you're having a great time with your families as you're going to be driving back this Sunday or this Monday. Guys, drive safely, look after yourselves, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have fun, man. It's a Easter weekend. Enjoy it. What are you doing this weekend?
Family. Use any public holiday to go and spend time with your grandparents, with your parents, and know their stories, because that builds the beauty of your foundation, and it gives you confidence when you go out there into the world.
Mr. Tabane, what are you doing this weekend?
Going to see my dad. Following your example.
Beautiful.
Guys, we'll see you on the 30th of April. We're launching Marwapula. We're launching a brand new set of NFTs, and we've got a food market at our farm in Monument Road, Centurion. The farm is called Homegrown Farm. For those that want to have food stalls so they can sell some food to make money, or anybody that wants to come and join us at our picnic, live music, food, beautiful stuff, man, at a farm outdoor. 30th of April, it's going to be on a Saturday. We're starting at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Email nick@leadership2020.co.za. That's NIC@leadership2020.co.za. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Those who have not clicked the subscription button, please do so. This community has to grow. Thank you. We love you guys.
This is the Hustlers Corner.